Hello out there. Welcome to the den. We will be live shortly. Testing, testing. All right, let's get on with the shit. What's the motherfucking deal? Let me know if I sound a little bit low here. I think that maybe might make it help out. I don't know. Tell me how it sounded, because like I said, I've been having some audio issues the last few days trying to get it right. But I see Baker Man, I see Mr. Rabbit. What's the motherfucking deal? So here's the dilly-dally. Welcome to the Den. If you're not familiar with the Den is a place where we can speak freely, where we can have conversation about all types of situations, and you're not judged no matter what side of the conversation you may be on. It's about getting better understanding of where we all come from. But for some reason, like I said, y'all let me know how the sound sounds, because it looks like it's kind of low, and I can't really tell how it sounds to y'all, because again, I'm thinking it's on, it should have been off. When I'm thinking it's loud, it sounds a little low. I'm just trying to make sure everything is copacetic. But again, I hope you all are having a fantastic Friday evening, and we're going to talk about some shit tonight. And tonight we're going to talk about mental illness. We're going to talk about what is mental illness. We're going to talk about who has mental illness, and we're just going to talk about how mental illness is perceived in various communities throughout this country and maybe throughout the world. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't, you guys will have to tell me. You tell me. So with that being said, let's get into some discussion, man. Let's get into this topic. I haven't sold the world. I don't own the world, so I can't sell it yet, but soon enough. So again, like I said, I hope y'all are doing all right. I see Mello, what's the motherfucking deal? Gave you power, what's the motherfucking deal? Baker Man, Mr. Rabbit, hope you all are doing well. Mental illness, okay? What is mental illness? Mental illness refers to a wide range of mental health conditions. And I'm a five-year-old. Excuse me, Black. I know I said I was going to quit, but I ain't quit yet. I don't give a fuck what y'all think about it. Disorders that affect your mood, thinking, behavior, that include depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, eating disorders, anxiety. What I'm talking about, anxiety disorders, addictive behaviors. You know what I'm saying? They say many people have concerns about mental health from time to time, and I wonder about some of y'all and some of y'all's mental health or illness, that's interesting. Illness or health, or what is it? Thinking that there's more than two genders of mental illness, so we're gonna get into all of that. There's a lot of emotional connections to some of this stuff. But again, you sit here and you wonder, what is mental health? What is this all about? Who has it? Who suffers from mental health? And I think it's a situation where you can say everybody does. And when I say everybody, I don't mean like everybody in the world, but I mean a variety, all types of people, men, women, children, black, white, all the Hispanics, all the Mexicans. Everybody's a Mexican. If you're of Latin descent, it's just easy. It's just the easy way. All the Mexicans. All the black and mild smokers. No, but seriously. Let's look at a couple of statistics on mental illness, and then we will kind of deep dive into the conversation. Mental health facts concerning children and teenagers. 1 in 5 children ages 13 to 18. I think 18 is not children anymore. I know some people will get treated like children. I know some people go to jail as adults at 15. But anyway, it's a whole other conversation. Will have a serious mental illness. Now that's concerning. talking about 20% of kids. And 20% of kids is 20% of people, in the sense that these people will grow up to, be adults. They'll have to function in society. And I think there could be numerous factors that we could determine for that. I mean, the standards that we push forth nowadays, I don't think people are challenged. And I think that when you have a lack of confidence, and I think sometimes you have to force people to be challenged. I think, Roscoe, what's the motherfucking deal, man? I shot you a message last night. I was just checking in to see how everything was going, man. It's good to see you. But I'm saying, when you talk about 20% of people, of children, that means that eventually becomes 20% of people, because they grow up into adults, they function in society, and it's a scary thing to think about. And it's not scary, because I don't want to say all mental illness. I don't want to think like, generally it's usually when white people do it, but when a shooter happens, they say, oh, he suffered some type of mental illness. When other motherfuckers, it's just their fucking culture. But we'll get into that conversation a whole different time. But, mental illness is not always the person who shoots up something, or the person who goes out and just does all this violence. Sometimes it's just deteriorating inside. Sometimes it's people who are suffering on the inside and having to deal with issues that are causing them problems, having to deal with issues that they don't quite know how to overcome. And in the long term, it's hurting them. It's hurting them deeply inside, and they don't know what to do about it. And that can be a problem. You might be right on that when I gave you power. I worry about him. He sent me some stuff on the gram, and just not just to single him out, but, because he sent it, I'm going to talk a little bit of shit. But again, because you already know how I feel about shit like that. Yeah. I don't know why. Like I said, it seems like the audio looks low to me, but ain't nobody said that, so we'll figure it out. It's concerning, because McVice, what's the motherfucking deal? Because again, like I say, it's concerning, because again, that percentage of people grows up to be a part of everyday society. And you just never know what the person next to you is suffering with. So, there's that. So it says 20% of all youth ages 13 to 18 live with a mental health condition. 11% of youth have a mood disorder. 10% of youth have a behavior or conduct disorder. 8% of the youth have an anxiety disorder. So let's say out of this 20% of youth who have problems, now it gives you another 28% of these youth who have these disorders. And so it means there could be a combination of things that is causing this mental health, that is causing this mental illness that is causing concern. And so that's why I say sometimes you just have to talk to your people, talk to your friends, just see if they're okay. It might not be the most accessible conversation. It might not be the easiest thing to approach a conversation with, but if you truly care about something, it's something that needs to be discussed, because it's good to have the conversation while you can, before, they do something drastic to themselves or to others, and you can no longer have that conversation. So, try to be of benefit to somebody for once in your life. Says 50% of all lifetime cases of mental illness begin by age 14 and 75% by age 24. That's a strange 10-year span. So again, we talked about mental illness is spanning over a variety of topics. Anthony Bailey, yeah, just let him know, Anthony. That's what I'm talking about. It streams over a variety of topics. It spans over a variety of topics and concerns. And maybe not. I don't know. We might talk about it. And it's funny that you mentioned that topic, Edmund, and then Dominic pops up immediately after. Heidi, hello. Drunken Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Crouching, I don't know. And so, like I say, Dominic, you asked see, Dominic, I was going to avoid trying to, but I think this is what you like, 'cause I don't think you get a lot of attention in society. So I think that yes, mental illness is always the case. Dominic, you don't get a lot of love from the ladies, do you? I sent you a message. You sent me those goofy ass messages on Instagram. And so I'm just wondering, because, I mean, you can tell. I mean, you can obviously tell who does and who doesn't. You might have like one of those weird chicks who like sits in the corner of every class that nobody talks to, and for some reason, she's a weirdo, so she thinks you're funny. That's probably about the most you get. But I'm concerned about you, honestly, Dominic, and not in a healthy way. Your Instagram is let. Okay. Your Instagram was going to have your ass in jail. Drunken tiger shaking bear. That sounds about right. Says I got my car fixed when expecting to get busted upside my head. Six couple of drop. Damn. Yeah, at least the lady let you get it back, man. That's you gotta have your wheels. The wheels is the deal. Baker man, what's the motherfucking deal? Mr. Rabbit. Yeah, Mr. Rabbit hadn't said it. Usually it was some interesting stuff about the dogs or something like that. But it is what it is. But back to talking about the mental health, and mental illness. I'm sorry. So we're talking about, it says 50% of all lifetime cases of mental illness begin at 14, 75% by age 24. And I would think, I'm sure when you get older, I don't know if they throw Alzheimer's in this category. I think that's a degenerative disease or something like that, maybe. I mean, it's not quite in the same situation. But that means that it's those prime years. And I'm wondering how much of an effect puberty has to do with that. Because those are the ages where you give the most fucks about how society views you and how, Heidi, you're not allowed to say anything. And I wonder how much of that has to do with it, because I think when you're going through puberty, you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to find your place in the world at those ages of adolescence through young adulthood. And when you don't fit in, and you figure out you're not that star or whatever the fuck it is that you want to be in your head, and you don't come to that, I think you start feeling a particular type of way if you're not being accepted by society in a certain way. And I think that has to do with some things. I'm just curious about it. It says 10 years. The average delay between onset symptoms and intervention is 8 to 10 years. That's crazy. Could you imagine Don Cornelius? Ah, yes, Don Cornelius. He was the Soul Train. Imagine any other illness, having any other illness that was taking 8 to 10 years to realize or, get help for. You're damn near about to clock out. You're damn near finna be out of there if that's the case. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why I say, if you know somebody and things don't seem right with them and things seem a little bit awkward, they seem a little bit off. Jackson, what's the motherfucking deal? That you need to, yes. I don't have enough soul for the sauce train. That's what but I don't know. These new kids with their sauce, they'll be on some weird shit. Motherfuckers be dancing all weird and shit. So I don't know about how that whole situation goes. But my thing is, Dylan Cole's in the arm count. Okay. That's unfortunate. But I mean, think about how long that it takes to analyze, to figure that out, and then to get help. In any other situation, that's almost, death. That's almost a wrap. I mean, you're probably going to lose something. You're probably going to have to amputate something, depending on what it is. But let's keep going over some of these stats about the youth and their mental illness. It says 37% of students with a mental health condition age 14 and older drop out of school, the highest dropout rate of any disability group. Now, I don't know if I want to use that word disability, because you wonder. They got the burrs. I don't know if I want to call it disability, because I feel like mental health can be treated. It may not be immediate, but I feel like it can be treated if you seek help. But what do you hear when you always see these stories of people who did this, who either off themselves or did something violent towards other people or whatever it may be? You don't really hear about them going out and seeking help. You may hear about a family, well, he had run-ins with the law, or he did this or he did that, but they never you never hear about them going out and seeking help for their situation. And so that's why I honestly feel that it can be managed, it can be maintained if you go out and seek help from a professional or something of that nature. Now, I'm not always saying, the medication. I think the medication can be worse in some cases depending on what it is. But I do believe that is that you have to deal with what you have to. Dominic, you're strange. Like I'm like honestly, I'm serious about Dominic. Dominic, like I want you to seek help. Like it's not even a joke. So I wouldn't call it a disability group, but it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's a problem. To 70% of youth in state and local juvenile justice systems have a mental illness. And now I want to talk about that because I want to talk about mental health and how it's viewed by various cultures. You want to stay secondary to the corner for his own safety for the collective nickel or a dime. Wow. I see what you did there. I give you 2 thumbs up. Like the little one gave the pizza man when he showed us the pizza. That shit was funny. You're on fire this evening. But again, because I want to talk about how racists view, not racists, but various races view, mental illness. And a part of that is, and here's a stat here that it says, and again, like I say, these are various stats and different little things that I halfway pulled up. It says African Americans and Hispanics, the Mexicans, Hispanic Americans each use mental health services at about 1/2 of the rate of Caucasian Americans. Asian Americans, about 1/3 the rate. We know the Asians, they don't need no fucking help. The Asians got it all figured out. Be like an Asian. If you want to grow up, be like an Asian. But yeah, black people do not. They laugh about it. They embrace it. Oh, even though a motherfucker getting a crazy check or whatever, everybody got a crazy motherfucker on the neighborhood. Oh, he just on that shit. Oh, he just on this and that. And it's just like it's downplayed in the black community. Like it's it's not even a thing. There is no mental health. But then we sit here and we wonder why every time, you see a situation with the shooters or with the violent acts and things like that they always bring up mental health, because white people actually give a shit about mental health. Blacks, even the Mexicans too. Mexicans, that's mi primo. He's loco. He's just a little loco. And so my thing is, when we're mainly the ones who would come out, when it's white people, it's always mental. But we as cultures, be the Hispanic culture, the Mexican culture, or the black culture, who call it in? I ain't finna answer y'all right now. Touch your bitch ass up, phone. So my thing is, that's what it makes it like the cocaine cures depression right away. So I used to know some depressed people, but they did a bunch of cocaine. But again, like I say, the cultures, the way that we as cultures look at it, we don't even give a fuck about mental health. Now you ain't lying. White people kill everyone when they lose their shit, and that's another thing. And we're gonna get into that conversation one day. We're gonna talk about why killings are different through various cultures, and I have some interesting thoughts on that, But we'll get into that. We'll save that for another time. Well, here's the deal, Dominic. Well, you'd have to have friends to tell them about the dead. So I think that kind of defeats its own purpose. When you're sitting there, when you tweet out the messages and things like you tweet out, I think people start avoiding you like the plague. Sheep tortas, I love tortas. And it is a little cool outside, but I have been embracing the cold. I'm trying to go Honcho versus the cold this I was about to say this off season, this fucking winter. Now I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna wear a jacket, but I'm going to try to tolerate as much of the cold weather as I possibly can. I'm not saying I'm fully Wim Hofing it, but he suggests embracing the cold, and if he could fucking climb Everest basically like shirtless or whatever, I could take a little bit of cool weather here and there. And I'm not gonna say I'm gonna just sit my ass outside in the cold and marinate in that shit, but I'm trying to embrace it. I think we as Texans overreact a little bit to the cold weather. So, whatever you say. The hawk is coming. But my thing is this. And I tell you, I don't use the term friends. I use that very sparingly. Very sparingly. Again. But I do have people that I like just because I think friends is a peculiar word, and I use it. But I wouldn't say I don't think I have a lot of friends. The hawk, man, the hawk is hilarious that you say that, because the reason why I'm thinking about that, it was an old commercial, and shout out to Mo City Bo, because I was watching it on his channel, and that's why I'm laughing. The hawk. And it was about the hawk. I took it as the wind, and it was messing up the natural fro. So they were talking about some like hair product to fight the hawk. But this was way back in the day, and it was like a little cartoon hawk, and that shit was hilarious. I've been laughing. Me and the old lady was looking at that. I showed her that shit. That shit was super fucking funny. I actually have it. I'm looking at it right now. I gave you power. That's what we're gonna do on the mixer crew tonight. I got a super steal of a deal. I didn't steal it, and so it was just something you couldn't pass up. So we'll do. I got to decide either between Shadow of the Tomb Raider or Red Dead Redemption. I don't know which one I want to play first. So yeah, that'll be the mixer action tonight. I don't know, that Shadow of the Tomb Raider is looking way better than Red Dead right now. Yeah, it was like a Chicago thing. But yeah, so I haven't even opened it. Like I had got on a deal, I'd ordered it, and it came in today. Actually, it was supposed to come in to like the 13th, but it came in super early. It's still in the wrapper and everything. Like, I haven't touched it. I said I'm gonna wait till I get with the mixer crew tonight, and we're gonna start from the very beginning on that journey. So that should be interesting. I plan on probably losing a lot of horses. But again, so let's get back to mental illness, though. And basically, though, talking about, how I'm saying about the Asians don't use it. The Asians got it all figured out. The Asians, it's a very interesting. I'm gonna do a dedicated den about Asian people and how we all need to be like the Asians, except I'm gonna keep my penis. That's a stereotype, and I'm going with it. But I'm just saying, the Asians have it all figured out. They got it figured out so much that they're trying to ban them from Harvard using dirty practices. The Asians have the lowest rate of divorce in the country. You never hear them. Why doesn't anybody ever pander to the Asians for their vote? That's what I wonder. Niggas always get pandered to, then don't get shit out of it. They go voting for these motherfuckers. They get all into the shit, don't get shit out of the shit. The Asians don't give a damn about any of that shit. They fucking just get their money, and they don't care about the bullshit. Jay Dizzle, what's the motherfucking deal? The fucking Asians, exactly. The Asians all about getting the money. They're not worried about your bullshit. They're not worried about the pop culture bullshit. Niggas too worried about what did I just see? What's the latest news I saw? Something popped up on my shit. The Asians too worried about Asians ain't worried about fucking what's his name video getting shot up and shit. Asians worried about getting that education, putting in that work, and fucking I see what you did there. They're about, like I say, they don't believe in divorce, and they don't be with that fuck shit. They about that business. They fucking believe in family, they believe in community, and they fucking build. You know what I'm saying? They build. They not worried about all this dumb shit. They don't care what motherfuckers thinking of them. Them motherfuckers ain't trying to get the Gucci belt. Them motherfuckers don't care about none of that shit. The Asians are only concerned about building and taking over and getting that shit. And that's why I say, man, why can't, other cultures do the same thing? And Jay Dizzle, I'm dead serious about that one day, man. I'm gonna link up with you, find out when it's convenient. I wanna do a den about, America from the view of a truck driver, because I think that's very interesting. I was just sitting there thinking about it. I was actually thinking about it before the sauce, and then you know what I'm saying, and then go. I think that'd be a very interesting topic because you see a lot of shit. I've seen some of the pictures you posted on the book, and I'm just like, man, you know, you see a bunch of shit. So that might be a very interesting conversation. We got to do that one day. Let me know when it's gonna be cool. All right, cool. Kenneth, have I ever had depression? Yes, I have. A white bitch tried to steal an elliptical from you. Did you attack? Did you snatch out her weave? Or did you do like the meme and hit her with the finger? No, I told y'all, like, I went through depression. The situation, when I talk about my old situation, you know, losing people who were close to me. I would say I went through, you know, when I've talked about that, I've talked about the people I've lost in my life, and there were probably brief periods of depression that I went through, and then eventually, you know, I snap out of it, and then something happens eventually again, and you kind of snap out of it, and you got to bounce back. So, but because the reason why I say this is because and that's why I said earlier about using the term friends, I'm very, very picky with that term, because if I'm close to somebody, you know what I'm saying? It's a black, no reefer. If I'm close to somebody, you know, I'm wholehearted with it. Like I give my all to people. If I don't, you know, if I'm not concerned with you, or if I don't care, and I do care about most people, because like I said, I told you, I'm trying to approach this whole new perspective of just of approaching everything with love and trying to give my all to everyone. But you know who deserves it, and you know who doesn't. But so that's why I'm very cautious with the term friends, because everybody doesn't deserve to be your friend. You can be kind and you can help people, but not everybody deserves to be your friend. Depressed, and obsessed at the same damn time. That sounds like a Future song. Come to the, I'm depressed. I was oppressed. Oppressed, man. Hold up, that's the new jam. Alexa, put me on that new Future. Free bad. But, you know, here's my deal though. Here's my thing. You know, it sounds like you have to be a turd. But here's my thing though, man. Like I say, and this is why I say that mental illness, I don't feel like it's a disability. It can be debilitating, but I don't feel like it's a disability, simply because, trust me, when somebody says it, I understand. It's no, you can cheer up, because here's the thing. You can't smile and be depressed at the same time. There's ways of altering your physiology, and there's been studies that have been proven to this. Because look, this is something I've looked up, you know, when I was going through these things. You know what I mean? So you can believe what you want to believe, or you can actually do some no. But in that moment, you can't feel those feelings. You can't smile and feel those feelings. So what they did, they had studies where they had people, they had one, I believe it was doing positive affirmations after so long. You know what I'm saying? After so long. And those people, they had people who used these affirmations, they had people who used medication, and then, the time. But here, don't say anything, Heidi. You're not allowed to talk. We don't want to hear it. That it's about the way you train your mind. Mental health, your mind is a muscle, okay? So if you have a weakness in that muscle of your mind, and you're not training it just like you would train any other muscle, then a certain part of it is going to overtake it. Just like when you injure one part of your body and the other part kind of takes over and then overcompensates for it. That's what happens when you injure a certain part or you're weak in a certain part of your mind. And I'm not saying that you're a weak person, but a certain part of your mind is weak, and you're not training that shit, and you're not working that shit, then you will not overcome the shit. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this, like, it's a different thing to hide the pain, but then it's a different thing to actually work on it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, you got weak arms. You can put a shirt over it, make it look good, make it look like something, or you can actually go to the gym and work it out and see that you have that strength. So it's not about hiding anything. It's actually about working on it. And what happens is the mind is strong. The mind builds your perspective. It builds your outlook. You know what I'm saying? It builds your, they don't have the A1 thick and hard no more. Man, I'm telling you, it's been so long. Well, it's only been a couple of months, but it seems like forever since motherfucker ate a real burger. The veggie burger's cool, but ain't nothing like Whataburger, man. You know, y'all are sounding real tempting right now. But my thing is this, you know what I'm saying? You have to build that mental muscle. So if you've been sitting here telling yourself for, you know, we talked about how long it went. It said 8 to 10 years before most people are diagnosed or even seek treatment for their mental health. So if say you've been telling yourself, I'm a weak ass or the world sucks or whatever this is for 4 or 5 years, and then you think that you can now bench 230, dog, I ain't even been on it like that. I could probably hop on 230 fresh off the bar. I'm not even close to where don't brag to me about no raggedy ass 230. That's fucking what, 2 plates and a little half on each side. Boy, you better get your weight up or get your weight down and get your bench up. Zaxby, I know you're not talking. I know you know about mental health because all you do is fuck with retarded girls. You know what I'm saying? He be going over there he be waiting for him to get off the short bus. Hey, baby. Yeah, we've been trying to be on top of it. They trying to distract me. You know what I'm saying? They try, motherfucker here. They trying to distract me. Shit, I can knock out 238 nothing. I could knock out 230. I guarantee that right now. Well, you have to put some money on it. I could hit 230 probably about a solid. Like I say, not even been fucking with it like that because all I've been fucking with lately is the dumbbells at the little gym. And I ain't been on a bench in a minute. I could knock out 230 probably about 5 solid reps. I think I could easily give you 5 solid reps without really breaking a sweat. And I sweat extremely easily. We're gonna do about an hour. Then I'm gonna get a mixer crew their love because I neglected mixer crew last week. But my thing is this, man. I couldn't tell you. Like when I was back in high school, I used to kill the power clean drug, all that shit. I was cold at that. Now I got bad knees. Doctors say I need a backiotomy. I don't think. I don't know about that. I probably got you. I probably give you a whole. I probably do the bar and then fall out. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, my thing is Mixer is the game stream that I do. It's mixer.com/Honcho Saucy. Check it out. It's dope shit. And so my thing though is this. Let's get back to mental health because I'm trying to stay on topic. The den don't want me to be great, as Salty Chala claimed. The white woman didn't want her to be greater, so I'm using that now. But we're talking about the Asians. The Asians got it all together. We're gonna do a stream about that. I'm serious. We're gonna figure out we're gonna dissect the Asian culture and we're gonna figure out how we can all apply it to our lives and become a little bit more Asian because they got it all figured out. But it was saying, like I say, half of all chronic mental illness begin at age 14, 3/4 by age 24. We talked about that. Just over half of children with a mental health condition aged 8 through 15 received mental health services in the previous year. So that means that it's a lot of kids running around here. And again, like we talk about when you hit puberty, we talk about when you hit, what about gay Asians? Do they got it? They got it all figured out. But my thing is, Asians, the Asians got it all figured out. Like that's who's gonna take over the world. We over here worried about all this other shit. We worried about the caravan. The Asians are slowly plotting and taking over the fucking world. We got our fucking priorities fucked up. And so at my prime, I'm gonna be honest, probably my best was that I recall actually having a number right before I went to U of H. I hit 355, and so I was about 18. After that, the U of H weight program was on some bullshit, doing all that circuits, all that repetitive shit, fucking up shoulders and joints and bones and shit. And I don't think I ever maxed out again after that. More recently than that, probably the last time I probably maxed out a few years ago, I got back up to about, this is probably about 18. This is probably like 12 or 13. I probably got back up to 320. And then my fucking shoulder it was just not having it after that. Like every time I started kind of getting back up there and I actually started doing solid weights, like my shoulder, and it's been something ever since college, like my shoulder just starts like fucking up on me. So I don't do it. Hey, look, I'm just saying, I'm answering the questions that the people want to know. All right. You can't speak in my eulogy. There will be no eulogy. There will be no funeral. It'll just be I'm gonna do me like Ivory off How High. Just throw me in a plant and smoke me. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, we're talking about the mental health because you all have mental health problems. That's why y'all fucking with me. And then we were talking about, 70% of the youth, and we were talking about the kids 8 through 15 who haven't received mental health service in the last year. So you got a lot of kids, a lot of young kids running around here feeling a particular kind of way. And again, I say that's dangerous because that's around that age that puberty starts kicking in. Nobody's helping these kids understand what's going on with themselves, what's going on with the world. And so they're in their own minds creating these fallacies, and they're believing this is how life is. They're believing it's real. They're not talking to anybody about it because they're confused. They don't want to come out as weird. They don't want people to think, oh, there's that weird schizo kid, or there's that weird kid, stressing. And they're trying to force themselves to go through life and fit into this system because, especially in America, we make high school so important. Being popular is so important. All these things that don't fucking matter in life. And especially with this day and age of social media, you got to have this and you got to have that. Oh, how many likes are you getting? How many, how many times is it getting shared? Like these things that really don't matter ultimately matter to the younger generation now, and it's pointless. And I think that's definitely spurring some of this shit now. Nobody's liking my stuff. I'm not this, I'm not that. And it starts to create a situation. Excuse me. So I'm telling you now that if you're listening to this and you're a youth and you are whoever you are, you got to stop giving a fuck about, you know what I'm saying? I'm older than that, Honcho. I'm fucking kid. I'm saying Honcho. I'm talking to myself. But I can still outlift you, old and everything. So what does that say about you? But again, and then we're talking about 70% of the people in these juvenile facilities have mental health issues. And again, a lot of that comes from the community because we talked about the Black and Hispanic community. They don't give a fuck about mental health. And that's why whenever you see shit happening in the news and they talk about blacks, they talk about Mexicans, and never talk about Asians. Asians just get so disrespected, but they got it all perfected. It's never about, oh, well, he had mental health issues. Because let's be honest, nobody in the fucking hood talking about, oh, that nigga got mental health problems. He needs to go see a mental health professional. Nobody says that. White people send their fucking people to fucking see mental health professionals occasionally. Or they go try to seek out those services, even though they may only go once. They still try to fucking, use those things. And so then we get mad, well, it's always mental health with the white people. Well, yeah, they probably fucking cuckoo as shit, but the same thing is like you don't hear that about our community because we don't say that about our communities. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I lifted more than you at 15 though. That's what I'm saying. What you really saying? Again, that's you putting up them junior high numbers, my dude. Come on now, you got to do better than that. So again, like I say, my thing is we have to look at the importance of it. And there's a couple other little stats I want to go down. Then I'll open up the deadline a little bit, and then we will make it shake. We'll definitely make it shake. Let's see, 15. What was 15? 14, 15-ish. That was what, freshman year? Sophomore going into 15, turning 16, something like that. So I was probably about between 245 and 260-ish. But I never really fucking took the shit serious. Like, that was my problem. Like, I didn't really start lifting hard until I got out of football and actually started getting some interest. And then I started working out with my barber, and he was like an old bodybuilder ass nigga. And so that's when I really started getting it in. And so I probably went from averaging around maybe 285 to I was close to probably about 285, 290, and then got up to about 355 before I got to school. So that was a solid 8-9 months of just doing a bunch of crazy shit. But the thing is, when he was fucking, but I wasn't even swell. I was always like a slim dude. It wasn't, but I never stayed committed. Summers I slacked all the way off. I wasn't ever consistent with the shit. But anyway, shut up, Kenneth. So my thing is, though, ultimately, like if you're suffering for something, you have to talk to somebody about it. I know it's not it's not a sexy conversation. It's not something you want to go up and say, hey, I need help. It's almost a feeling of giving up, but it's not. If you're suffering through something, talk to somebody about it, because you can't get help if people don't know what's going on. And, we get mad and we get mad and angry at people because we feel like they should know, especially if they're close friends. I've had situations like this, but people can't know, because y'all were talking about the mask earlier, covering it up and wearing the facade. Man, I did that. Trust me, I know how that goes. I've done that. I've done it for a long time, or I did it for a long time. And this is why I'm able to tell you that it can be something that you work out of. Anxiety. When I was younger, I had certain levels of anxiety. Again, there's things that you can do to work out of these things. Depression, all these, I'm not saying I had all of them. I would have had, wasn't all suicidal and, want to say fuck the world and do all of that stuff. But I had issues because, like I say, I told you I was raised Jehovah's Witness. So I was always originally as a youth looked at differently. But I embraced it. I started learning how to embrace that and stuff like that, because we didn't participate in all the other stuff. And kids thought, you're weird. You don't celebrate this. You don't do that. And then when you're young, you start wondering, like, am I missing out on shit? And then just other little factors that happen. I told you, my sister passed when I was really young, and I had just this fucking negative view of the entire world. So, there was a lot of shit that impacted me along the way, and again, so it's just things that you have to understand. But if you sitting there and you just talking to yourself and you're just sitting there reinforcing your own beliefs, because like we talked about positivity and negativity the other day. If you come at things with a positive mind frame, you will always find the next positive, and you'll start overlooking negative shit because you train yourself to look for the positives. If you're a negative person, you'll only see everything negative, and you'll miss all the positive opportunities because you're going to reinforce your own beliefs. That's the power of the mind. So if you're depressed, you're going to continue to find things that justify your beliefs. You're going to continue to find things that reinforce what you think. And so that's why sometimes you have to talk to somebody. You have to either change your element. You have to find somebody that you can confide in. Better to find somebody professional, because sometimes, your own friends, your own family, they can't give you that great of advice because sometimes they don't know how to deal with it. Sometimes they're dealing with it themselves, and they may not be able to give you that boost that you need. So again, I think that it's important that you find someone that you can talk to at the very least. And again, don't talk to somebody else who's fucking depressed. Y'all sitting there listening to fucking, I don't know, whatever emo music and shit together. That might not be the person that you want to talk to about about life. Yeah, Kenneth, I've been embracing the V-necks as of late. I used to hate fucking V-necks. I used to talk a lot of shit about V-necks, but I have begun to embrace them, Now, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. I was going to hit you with a zinger, but I'm going to let you make it, Kenneth. You know not what you do. You need some help. Y'all some V-necks haters. Look, y'all motherfuckers like V-bucks, but y'all hating on V-necks. Fuck y'all. You know what I'm talking about? Goddamn. I ain't got time to listen to y'all motherfuckers. Goddamn it. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers being here acting like Jaybird. Y'all be spamming by some goddamn V-bucks. And some all that old bullshit, some old digital bullshit. And then when it come down to some real shit, you know what I'm saying? Y'all want to start hating. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll be hating on the Hayride shirts. That's the dopest shit shaking. I was gonna throw on the Hayride just for the haters. But here's the deal. We're gonna open up the deadline. We'll take a couple of calls, and we're gonna see what y'all talking about, man. We're gonna see what y'all got on your mind, what y'all discussing here. We're gonna do it together because I got to figure out why some of this shit is still. I've been switching some shit around, but the audio is still just been pretty fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Let's see. Oh, I forgot to move that shit around. All right, so like I said, if y'all got some calls that y'all want to talk about, that y'all want to discuss, we will take a call or two. And then if y'all ain't talking about shit, we're going to get up off here and we're going to slide to the mixer action, and we'll get into some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Underdriving, next thing they become, kind of weird. I'm telling you, Dominic, you are a weird, strange little man. All right, we have a call coming in. Put it on speaker. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling into the den this evening?
Hello, this is T'Challa, and someone had asked a question in the chat just a little bit ago. I forgot who it was, though. Anywho, they said, does homeschool eliminate some of those behaviors, those weird behaviors that you were speaking of that causes depression and anxiety in children? I don't really think it's the fact that they're being homeschooled per se. I think it's because children who are homeschooled, generally their parents are more involved in their lives. They play a more active role in their behavior. They provide them with social interaction. They kind of guide them more closely and watch them more closely, and just generally more involved. Pay more attention to what's going on in their lives. And I really think that's why homeschool children usually fare well. Most kids that go to public school, they're latchkey kids. Their parents work and don't really have, or single parenthood, or maybe both parents work, and they kind of depend on the school system to raise them and provide them with the social interaction and kind of teach them how to deal with those issues on their own. They feel that they would automatically get it in school, so they don't have the time or just don't take the time to provide that guidance for them.
Well, that's a good one. Now, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I didn't even catch that question. So I have to go back and look. I must have missed some other stuff. But I definitely agree with you on that. I think when you're homeschooling, you have a chance to kind of see a lot of interesting things. And it's something I want to speak about. I don't think it's my place. I'll mention it maybe later. But I think you make a very valid point there, and about how the parents expect the schools to do everything. And I think, we live in a day and age where people are busy. And you can have a slight expectation for the school to teach your kids something, but then you have to realize how this school system works. And I think especially anybody at this point in time under the age of, 35 should know that the school system now is about getting more funding. It's not necessarily about teaching your kids the shit that they need to know. It's definitely not about teaching them how to live. Because outside of school, you come out with a bunch of information that you're probably not going to use in life. And so I think it's up to the parents to kind of pinpoint those skills that their children are lacking, and kind of harness in on those things, and give them some supplemental education. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree with what you're saying. That's a very valid point, and I appreciate your call.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Miss T'Challa.
All right.
Adios. Shout out to T'Challa. That's a very good call. I missed that question. Good night, Power. And now here's the thing. Now I do agree that people just have this unhealthy expectation of school, and then you got to look at it. Especially look at a lot of these teachers nowadays. I'm not going to go into the whole teachers fucking the kids shit, and I'm not going to do all that. I'm not finna fucking get into. I'm not fucking with y'all tonight. About that, but again, just the guidelines of what public schools want. Period, because they're getting that funding. It's all about passing that fucking state-sponsored test and training these kids how to take these tests, training these kids how to be employees. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, teachers don't fuck the kids at homeschool. That's called incest, and somebody's going to jail. But my thing is, I think that's a very valid point. I honestly must have missed that. But when she was saying about the mental health issues, because again, when you crowd these kids into school, basically like fucking cattle in a pen or fucking sheep to the slaughter or whatever, there's a lot of shit that's going to get missed. And if a kid doesn't have strong social skills, if a kid doesn't have the ability just to interact, just to do certain things, that is only going to get amplified, because the more they continue to get overlooked, those thoughts that they're telling themselves in their head, they're going to justify themselves, and they're going to have problems. Then they're going to feel weird. They're going to feel ostracized. Then they're going to start acting weirder. They're going to act more ostracized. It's kind of like a self-serving prophecy, and it's unfortunate, man. Like I say, it's very unfortunate. And the best thing that I would agree is that now I know everybody can't homeschool their kids because, everybody doesn't have a full family. Like you said, a lot of single parents, they have to go out, work, and earn money to take care of their household. And, you got to do something. But it's unfortunate. I wish I had the answers. I wish I had the cure for these things. But I think, like I say, my only thing that I can come back to is if you know somebody, if you see somebody, you have to, if they're having problems, they seem awkward or out of place, man, talk to them. If you truly care about them, you have to talk to them about their issues. That sounds about right, Dominic. That sounds like something you would co-sign. But that was a good call, man. That was a very good call. Oh, T-Shot does always have some good calls when she calls in. Some of y'all do have some good calls when y'all call. Some of y'all be on some weird shit. But y'all still all right. Y'all still friends in the den. I mean, we welcome everybody, mental illness or not. But again, like I say, if you feel like you're dealing with something, if you feel like you have some internal issues, and, I'm not a fucking, hold on, we'll take this call. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling in to the den this evening?
What's happening, Honcho? This is the official Mr. Rabbit.
All right, Mr. Rabbit, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing, I've actually been better.
Okay, well, what's bothering you? Let's talk about it.
Well, Jesus Christ! Oh my God! Every time I call in, shit keeps falling.
It's all right. It's all right. Are you upset because you lost your doctor's license? Is that why you've gone from doctor to Mr. Rabbit? Or what's going on with you? Let's talk about it.
No, it's actually, you know what? Making that change from doctor to Mr. was, up to this point, probably one of the best decisions I've made in my entire fucking life.
I'm sure you made better decisions than that, but why would you say, wait, what's going on? I mean, I understand one thing, if it's something you don't want to kind of put out there in the public. I won't blame you for that. If I can be of assistance, feel free to send me a DM and I'll try to, if I can. But I'm trying to figure out what's going on, man. I mean, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth about the rabbit community.
Oh. Sounds bad. What's going on?
Well, it may seem all fun and dandy on the outside, but on the inside, it's a lot of overhype. Now, many of the rabbits will say, strawberry milk is God, strawberry milk is this, strawberry milk is that. Strawberry strawberry milk is good, but it's not something that I'd have every day.
So what's the problem with the strawberry milk? Why is there such a conflicting opinions on this strawberry milk?
Because too many rabbits overhype it. Kind of like how everybody overhypes like a Thursday night football match. You hype it up, and guess what? The game's a total blowout, and a bunch of injuries happen.
Okay. Now somebody asked a good question. I have a question also. How many rabbits are there in this rabbit community?
About 6.2 million.
That sounds like a small uprising. I think we should all be very concerned.
Actually, the population is declining.
And so
last year it was 11. Last year it was 11.2. Now it's 6.2.
So what exactly happened to the 5 million rabbits that disappeared in a year's time?
Well, they just got tired of it. I mean, once you've grown out of because it's almost a phase. Once you've grown out of that phase, you don't go back. It's like something that you just don't talk about. And I'm on the verge of that.
Interesting. And what is pushing you out of this phase of rabbitidity?
Well, I don't keep up with it. I don't keep up with a lot of what the rabbits are doing. It's just a fact that I've seemed to just push myself away. And I've done that with a lot of things. I've pushed myself away from friends. I've pushed myself away from a lot of things. And doing that, I have come to the realization that I could be suffering from some sort of personality disorder.
Okay. So what do you think it is that makes you, is there something that you could pinpoint that makes you push away?
I guess it's just the fact that, because ever since I was probably 4 or 5 years old, I've been an only child.
Okay.
I've been an only child, and I've gotten used to that, and I don't have any other relatives unless you count my dogs.
Okay.
But dogs can't talk.
So with this only child thing, I mean, do you feel like that makes it, a bit more difficult for you to socialize? Do you feel awkward socializing, so you just feel better pushing away and just kind of being to yourself? Is that what you think it is, or how do you? I mean, what do you think the only child aspect of it is?
Being to myself, because the only child aspect, it really just helps me with being by myself, because I sit by myself at lunch. I sit on the wall. I mean, sometimes I'll sit with a friend. I don't sit at any of the tables.
Right. So, do you feel like this is a personal choice? Do you feel like you're missing out on something? I mean, are you content sitting to yourself? Would you like to be more social? I mean, like, how does that make you feel?
It's double-sided. I'm just gonna end it off like this. It's double-sided. Like, one side of me says, you know what, man, you just try to socialize with somebody, like try to make a friend. The other side says, or the other side asks, why bother?
Okay. I can understand you. I can understand where you're coming from. I can definitely understand where you're coming from. I was like that for a bit, I guess. But the weird thing about me is, for some reason, people gravitate. I don't know if it's maybe the athleticism or whatever it was. So I can understand where you're coming from. We're going to continue this conversation at some point, Dr. Rabbit. I'm gonna end this call, but we're going to continue this conversation. I want you to keep those thoughts in mind. I want you to just kind of, be conscious of what you're thinking. And we're definitely going to continue this conversation soon.
Thanks, Honcho.
All right. You have a good evening. So, I think there's a point at which we're going to hold that. You want to put everything out there for everybody, but I think that we have to. We'll have to continue this conversation because I kind of understand where he's coming from. And there was a point, like I told you, like especially now I was a little bit, probably about 13 and kind of more so about 12ish. And my sister got real sick, and I pushed myself away from a lot of people. A lot of people didn't know what was going on, what I was dealing with, and things like that. And I didn't really want to socialize. I didn't really want to fuck with people. But people, usually being the biggest guy in the schoolhouse or whatever it was at those times, people just naturally gravitated towards Senior Honcho. And I don't even think I was very good. I wasn't a person that socialized. Really, I didn't go out seeking it. But we'll talk about that. We got a call coming in. We'll take this call. What's the motherfucking deal? Who do we have calling into the den this evening?
It's Edmund.
Edmund, what's on your mind this evening? What you want to drop in the den?
I don't know if you talked about it already, but what's your thoughts on the shooting that happened in California this week?
Okay. No, I hadn't talked about it. I'll be honest. I just really found out about it, I want to say, earlier this morning. Had no idea what had happened. I saw an article because I think they were talking about James Ennis was familiar with Thousand Oaks, with that area, because I think he came from there, the guy for the Rockets. And but I didn't look into it, didn't know exactly what was taking place or what was going on. And so and like I said, I just kind of got a little bit of details about it. I think it's a sad situation, and it's crazy that it continues to happen over and over again, especially here in this country. But again, I think there's never going to be perfection. There's always going to be some issues. But I think that what you see with a lot of these issues is, and I hope this doesn't become a thing because I speak on it, but at the same time, you can't oppress somebody if they haven't committed a crime. But you hear stories about a lot of these shooters, a lot of these people having prior run-ins with the law, not getting arrested, not fucking, getting in any situation, but they've had aggressive encounters with the police, but yet nothing happens to them. They were talking about not that long before he was called. They called in on a domestic disturbance on him, and he was kind of irate and he was aggressive and things of that nature. I've seen personally in situations, motherfuckers have gone to jail for being aggressive or irate. Now, there's a couple of differences in that situation. I'm not going to dive into those, but I'm sure you could guess as to what those were. But I'm not going to base it all on that. And I know a lot of people are talking about PTSD. If that's the case, that shit should be happening all over the country all the time. I don't think that's a valid excuse, because PTSD happens. I mean, people have PTSD. I mean, all over this country, people are returning home every damn day, coming from 3 or 4 tours of y'all are cold blooded, but it's funny. You got to laugh at everything. But doing 3 or 4 tours of duty and not doing this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't think that's valid. Again, I think it's unfortunate for everybody who lost their lives. I think it's unfortunate for the police officer that lost his life in the situation. It's a fucked up thing. And again, I feel like it's pretty fucked up. I mean, that's really all I can say about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, that's all I can say about it, is that it's a fucked up situation. I really don't have too much more on that, because like I say, I only got a little bit of the detail I hadn't gone in deep to really see what it was. But he did look a little scruffy. He looked kind of like Shaggy to me. But that's just kind of my thoughts on that. I really don't have too much to say on that one.
But why does it seem that white people are the usual school shooters? How come it's not, minorities that usually are the shooters?
And now I use this term with everybody, but I think it's a different level of it. And let me make sure I put my words properly. But it's a sense of entitlement, and it's a thing with minorities that they feel they're viewed a certain way. So minorities only fuck up the people like around them in their very nearby area. More whites feel like, hey, this is our country. This is, and so I think that they feel like more ownership over things. So they're more willing to do shit in public and wipe out. They feel a different way about this country than most minorities do. And so I feel that's why they approach, I feel like they approach things differently. And so that's why I think that they do more overall damage in their particular instances as opposed to what minorities do. Minorities still feel like they have this thumb on them, and so they go fuck up other minorities and shit like that. But that's just kind of my personal perspective. That's just kind of how I see it. So I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, I really can't. Like I say, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy on the internet talking crazy. But that's my thoughts on that one. That's kind of how I see it.
All right, but just want to finish off by saying 3 through 5, make sure you use protection next time.
This is getting strange. It's getting real weird, Ed, man. Real weird. But so yeah, you could tell that was coming when we had to finish it off. So is there something you don't want us to know there? But here's the deal, and the thing is, it's fucked up because I don't think that this country, it's funny because we care about the veterans, we care about the war, but we don't give a fuck about them when they come back home. Honestly, we don't. There's too many of them going through shit. We'll support giving them jobs, here and there. Let's hire them if they're working. We'll support that. But I think the ones that are coming back with issues, that are coming back with problems, we don't want to address those things because then I think we'd have to get to the root cause of that. War is an issue, and we're a country that loves war. We're always at war, and we'd have to start addressing what the adverse effects of that are, and we don't want to talk about that. So my thing is, it just kind of is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very unfortunate. It's very, very fucking unfortunate. Like you say, the VA, they got a lot of issues, a lot of shit that are going on. Let the Germans stay out of no war. Yeah, that might have been led to a bigger problem. So. Yeah, we're not even going to get into that whole deal. But I do think that they like people because, that's the problem is that especially the civilians who have never been through anything traumatic in their lives, America's a bunch of little boxes. And it's funny, because I think about that Weed song, that old show, little boxes everywhere. That's what it is. And these people go overseas and they fight and they do all this stuff so we can be comfortable and happy in our little boxes. We drive little boxes. We go to little boxes to buy little boxes with little shit in them. We learn in little boxes. We do a bunch of bullshit to be comfortable here. And then when the people who go out and, fight for this shit to remain this way, come back, we kind of throw them aside. All right, well, you did what we needed you to do. Good job, scram. That's kind of how it is. That's really kind of how it is, and I think that shit is very unfortunate, man. I think it's extremely unfortunate how we treat the those who go out into combat, we don't know what they've seen. War is not natural. Not in the sense of the way we do it. But I mean, because conflict is natural. Like, I won't say that it isn't. You know, conflict is it's a part of human nature. You will have conflict. But some of the situations that we put these people in, especially coming from certain backgrounds and never having an experience, not being raised and anything of the like, it breaks people. And, you know, certain situations, you know, when you're living in a situation where you're constantly tense, you know, and you don't know what could happen to you at any given fucking time. And then you come back home and you fucked up. And I agree, though. And I'm not saying that the people need to, because again, like I say, I don't feel bad generally when something happens to the police. They signed up for that. You chose it. I mean, I feel like people have to be accountable for the decisions they make. You know what you get into when you get into it. I have a bunch of friends that are veterans, but again, they knew what they were getting into when they got into it. But you signed a contract with the government, and I do believe that the government should take better care of the people who allow these fucking politicians to do nothing all fucking day. But waste, you know, taxpayer dollars and take bribes and handouts. You know, you would at least think, hey, I could break off a little of this fucking bribe to help some of these motherfuckers. But, you know, it is what it is. Legos are dope. Lego Star Wars, not going to happen. I think these people use the government to carry out business, because I'm selling my thing is like, I've talked to a lot of veterans, different races, different backgrounds, different cultures. And I've heard a lot of things. You have certain ones who, you know, they're going to keep the narrative going. Then you have certain ones who say, you know, it's none of the shit that you think it is. It's none of the shit that they're telling you that it is. But, and here's my thing though. You got a lot of people, because I was looking at that, who was the shit that just recently happened, Joe Acosta. And again, like, I'm gonna tell you, like, I have a lot of conservative views on certain things, but certain shit, like, I'm more realistic. Like, I'm not gonna let my bias or my preference for a certain thing, like, blind what I see. And it kills me that all these motherfuckers are posting this meme that, Joe Acosta, he did judo on this bitch and he did all this shit. Like, the bitch ran up on him and he did nothing in the way of forcing any contact on her. She did all that. Oh, he tried to attack her, and so the White House doing all these people are supporting that shit. You know, and it has nothing to do with war, but I mean, in every sense, you know, of whatever subject, whatever topic, people will continue to push a narrative because it suits what they want to do. And to me, those type of people are scumbags. They're shit. You know what I mean? Like, let's be realistic. You know, again, that's what I'm cool about eating crow. Like, I'm not going to just say some shit that sounds good because I want it to sound a particular way. I'm going to be more realistic about the situation. So my thing is just that you have some people who go to the military, it worked out good for them, and they're going to continue to push the narrative of the military, this, that, and the third, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Or you're going to have people who go there and they're going to talk about the realities of certain things, and they come back a little fucked up. They come back, you know, when you're under life-threatening circumstances and you just come back to an environment where everything's supposed to be okie dokie, it can be hard to reacclimate. So have I ever considered joining the military? No, never. Not even close. I did a bunch of push-ups for a little Army football one time at school. Like, and I think that's bullshit that they let the motherfuckers come to school and start trying to recruit motherfuckers out of the fucking school. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, you'd be a good candidate for the military. No, the fuck I won't. Give me my football asshole. I'm out of here. And I'm gonna tell you why, because, like, especially when I was young, I didn't give a fuck about this country. Like, give a fuck about America when I was young. Like, I was like, man, fuck this place, fuck everything, and everything, anybody involved in anything, fuck all that, fuck everything. You know, now as I've gotten older, I still don't think I would, but, you know, I have an appreciation for what this country brings, but I wouldn't be the one to go and fucking, and I wouldn't be with that shit. So, no. But he always asks dumb question. He deserved to be kicked out. Doesn't matter. What you may find is a dumb question. It may be beneficial to someone else. Just because you don't agree doesn't mean it's a dumb question. It may be of valid importance to somebody else. And again, the whole narrative and the whole spin on it, once you allow that to happen, you can't complain if in 2020 Beto becomes fucking president and he starts kicking out fucking conservative commentary, conservative journalists and all this. No, get the fuck out of here. You sneeze too hard, or I don't like you anyway. So get out, because then you start having a problem. It's something that's not about what he says. It's about setting a precedent. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's about setting a standard, not a precedent. It's about keeping a standard, not setting a standard. Keeping a standard. And when you do that type of shit, when you start allowing just any old reason to fucking kick motherfuckers out, you know what I'm saying? You can't allow that shit. Well, boy, he spied. Well, if you spied, okay, well, spy on his motherfucking ass. You probably go find some weird shit. I think all journalists are weird, but it is what it is. But here's the deal. I realize that we've gone an hour and some change. I got to get prepared for the Mixer crew. And yeah, we're gonna jump on the Mixer. We're gonna talk some shit because Mixer is the haven for shit talking. So if you don't know you ain't got the Mixer plug, we're gonna play Tomb Raider. But Trump is too busy watching. My thing is crazy about how he hired old buddy to be Department of Justice. That TV has a fucking superpower. So we got to get Trump to start watching The Den so I can be like somewhere in the government. I can be the official fucking streamer of America. You guys got to do is get Trump to watch, say a couple of things that he fucking likes, and you're in. The motherfucker even said he was plotting because he was trying to become a judge in Iowa, and he ends up being the fucking head of the fucking Department of Justice. That's hilarious. That's so fucking hilarious. I got to figure out how to get on CNN and say some shit. I can win. I got to get on CNN, get caught up in some kind of little scandal, say some conservative shit. Bam. No, Trump is not cool. Politicians aren't cool. Politicians are fucking lame. Yeah, they'll try to shut me down. You said the bad word names. So, hey, Persuasion, you had sent me the Free Man Up shirt, right? I don't know which one you had sent it on, and I was trying to find that so I could send it to him. Quiz ups, playing games. What, me playing games? I don't have time for games. I got to be on the Mixer. I don't have time to play games. But my friends in the Den, I fucks with y'all. We'll be back at it mañana. So, yeah, absolutely. If I become a politician, I will be the lamest motherfucker because I will never become a politician. I ain't running for shit. They ain't nominating me for shit, and then all that other fuck all that shit. But with that being said, catch me on what time is it right now? 11:20, probably about 10 to 15 minutes. So somewhere between 11:30, 11:35, somewhere around that area. I'll be on the Mixer. Got to do a couple little things real quick. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all, man. And I appreciate the time that you take. Check the links in the description before. Man, check out the fucking back of my shoulder itching. That's annoying. Check out the fucking the Den shop. It's somewhere. The link is in the description. And got some fresh Den shit coming too. Gonna be making some upgrades to the Den, so y'all stay tuned. And I appreciate all of you for dedicating the time. And that being said, Taco Bell's closed by that time, otherwise I would be there. With that being said, suck up the deuce, y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Kenneth has been gone, so I will politely escort you guys out of the door, and I will see you next time. Adios.